Hello friends, in this video series we are learning C++ programming language. Today we are going to learn how to create classes and objects in C++. As you know, C++ is a object-oriented programming language, unlike C language, right? So C++ gives you this capability to create user-defined data types, or you can call them abstract data types, right? You remember in the video of object-oriented programming concepts, we talked about objects, classes, abstraction, encapsulation, all those things. Now it is time to put those concepts into practice using C++ syntax. So the way you declare your class in C++ is by using keyword class. I'm going to take an example of complex number, a class representing complex number. You understand complex number in mathematics, right? It is, example is 3 plus 2i is a complex number. This is called as real part. This is called as imaginary part. And this is basically root of -1 if I'm not wrong, right? This is how complex number is represented in mathematics, 3 plus 2i, right? It's an example. It could be, even this is a complex number, so this will be treated as 3 plus 0i. Even 5i is a complex number. This will be treated as 0 plus 5i. 3 minus 2i is also a complex number. This will be treated as 3 plus minus 2i, right? So these are all examples of complex number. And complex numbers can have arithmetic operations performed upon them, such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, right? So we are going to write a class to represent complex numbers in C++. So in C++, as I said, the keyword is class followed by name of the class. So I'll say n complex, and your class definition goes inside braces, and you have to put a semicolon at the end of your class declaration. This is important, right? Semicolon in C++. Now, every class, as you know by now in our discussions, every class will have data members and member functions. Every class will have some data members, also called as attributes, and member functions, also called as behavior. So now let us declare some data members in our n complex class. While you declare data members, right, or member functions, you can specify something called as access specifiers. In C++, you have three access specifiers: public, private, and protected. Public members, be it data members or member functions, are available to use to access inside your class definition, outside your class, anywhere basically. Private data members or member functions are only accessible within your class boundary. You cannot access them from outside your class. And protected members, either data members or member functions, are accessible within your class and by all the children classes. So this is more related to inheritance. So when we study inheritance, we'll come back to the protected access specifier. But for now, let's focus our attention on public and private. So I'm gonna declare my data members now. So I'll say private, it's a colon, keyword private, colon, and then I'll specify my data members. Both will be of type integer. So I'll say n real, right? For representing, so if this is my complex number, 5 plus 4i, right? For representing this part, I'm putting integer n real, and for representing imaginary part, I'll say integer n imaginary, right? So these two are my data members. Then I can specify my member functions. Member functions are generally divided into three types in your C++. Normal member functions, constructors, and destructors. These two are special kind of member functions, constructor and destructor. So let us study all these types of member functions: constructor, destructor, and normal member function. So a normal member function would be something like this. So I'll say public. So now I'll use public access specifier, void, return type, display, name of my function. It doesn't require any input parameters. Now I'll just say cout n real plus n imaginary, and then I'll say I, right? So this is how I would like to display my complex numbers, like n real part plus sign, imaginary part, and something like this, 3 plus 4i, right? So this is a normal member function whose name is display. This is public in scope. Once you say public and colon, all the member functions or data member after this are public, right? Like they were private here. As you know, the general information hiding principle in classes say that you should make your data members as private and your member functions as public. See, that is the general convention for information hiding in your classes. Now, this member function can also be defined outside your class, right? In that case, you just have to declare the member function here. So I'll say public void display, right? You must declare it here, right? This is where your class ends, right? And now you can define it outside by using class name and scope resolution operator. Now I'm going to write the definition. I'll say void return type, class name is nComplex, scope resolution operator is double colon, is the scope resolution operator. And then I'll say name of the function, that is display, right? And then I'll write the same code followed by I, right? So this is the same code. Now I'm defining this function outside of the class. So you have to use class name and scope resolution operator just to tell the compiler that this display is a member function of class nComplex. But remember that you'll have to still declare the function inside your class. So this is how you define your function outside the class, right? Now this much code is sufficient for us to start using this class. So basically, just by writing the class, you cannot accomplish anything. No memory will get allocated just by declaring a class or writing a class. Nothing will happen. So in order to make use of this class in your main function, you got to create an object of this class. So how do you create that? You say simply nComplex, right? Let's say C1. This is how you create object of this class in C++. Just by saying class name space whatever the object name you want to give. C1. Here we are creating object C1. Once you create that object, right, you can invoke this member function on that. So you can say C1.display, because this is a public function, right? So you can directly invoke that C1.display, and this shall print some values. I assume at this point that this will print some garbage values. Why? So we have not assigned any values for the data members of this object C1, right? We have not assigned any value for n real and n imaginary. But there is something called as default constructor in C++. So C++ provides you with a special member function called as default constructor. That means when you create your object, right, this default constructor will be called. Default constructor will initialize your data members to garbage values, right? So right now, when you created this object, default constructor was called, and your n real and n imaginary data members for this C1 object were initialized to some garbage values. And when you called C1.display, the display will use those garbage values, and you expect some output like minus 321 plus 789i. Any of these values of this n real and n imaginary will be some garbage values, right? So there is something called as default constructor, which will be provided automatically to you and which will initialize your data members to garbage values, right? But we don't want that to happen. We don't want to have nComplex class with garbage values for real and imaginary part. We want, while we are creating the object, we would like to give certain values to these data members. For that, we will have to write our own constructor, right? So let's write our own constructor. As I said, constructor is a special member function we talked about types of member function. In a sense that constructor doesn't have a return type. You cannot specify a return type for a constructor, right? So, and the name of the constructor will always be same as your class name, right? Now the technical question could be, if constructor is a function, why doesn't it have return type? The answer for that is the constructor always returns object of the same type. If you're writing a constructor for n-complex class, it will return an object of n-complex class. It is like a rule, a ground rule, and this is for all object-oriented programming languages, be it C++, Java, C#, any object-oriented programming language. So you never mention the return type for constructor. So you'll just say n-complex, right? I want to write a constructor with no parameters. Default constructor. It is called as default constructor. So I'll just say, I just want to initialize these variables, data members, to certain values. So I'll say nReal equal to 0 and nImaginary equal to 0, right? So I'm just initializing these values to 0. Now that I have written this constructor, default constructor without any parameters, the one default constructor C++ was providing us will not be used. Instead, compiler will use this constructor when we create an object like this. So when we now say n-complex C1, this constructor will be invoked and nReal and nImaginary data members will be initialized to 0. Hence, when we call display, I have removed the definition for display member function because of lack of space, but you know what it is to do, right? It used to just say cout nReal, then plus, and then nImaginary, and followed by I, right? So this was the code inside that display function. We were just displaying the complex number in the format. So now when I call this display function, it shall print something like this, 0 plus 0i, right? Because when you create an object C1 of n-complex class, this constructor will be invoked, right? Where we are initializing the members to 0. Now we want to go a step further and we want to write a constructor where we would like to initialize this data members to specific values. So I'll write a parameterized constructor. Name of the constructor is same as class name. Now I'm going to need two parameters. I'm going to use two parameters, integer r and integer I, right? And I will say nReal equal to r and nImaginary equal to I. So I'll use these parameters to initialize my data members, right? So how do you use this constructor while creating the object? So you will say, you'll create another object, n-complex C2, and now you'll use parameterized constructor. You say 3, 4. So this is how you use parameterized constructor to create the object. And then you can say C2.display. Once you try to create an object like this, C2, 3, 4, right? This constructor will be invoked with 3 and 4 parameters will be passed to, 3 will be passed to R and 4 to I, and your data members will get initialized with those values. So when you call display, it will display something like 3 plus 4i, correct? So this is called as parameterized constructor. You can have as many constructors as you want in your class, but they must differ in their signatures, as we saw in the example of function overloading. This is also basically function overloading, but this is called as constructor overloading because we are overloading the constructors, right? So we have written two constructors here for our purpose of complex number. In the next video, we will learn what is this pointer. There is a special pointer that is available to the member functions of the class called as this pointer. So we'll study this pointer and we'll take our discussion from that point onwards. So see you in the next video.